Hey, everybody. You are about to hear a brief retelling of the movie From 13 to 30. Enjoy the movie. 1987, Jenna Ring is disappointed with her high school yearbook picture. She's also unhappy with her social status at school. Jenna had hoped the popular group of girls, the 6 chicks, would come to her birthday party, along with the boy she likes. But they all have a paper due this evening and Jenna offers to do all the work for them. Young photographer Mad is surprised that her friend wants to be friends with these nasty girls because she's so much better than them. Jenna gets dressed up for the party, but she doesn't like the way she looks. Being a teenager is so hard. If she were 30, maybe she'd look like those magazine models. Jenna has stuffed her napkins in her cleavage again and is ready to receive guests. So far, only Matt has shown up with his gift. The boy handed her a dream dollhouse that he made with his own hands. On top of it, he sprinkled magic pollen that should fulfill all of Jen's dreams. Suddenly, the doorbell rang and the girl put the gift away in the closet to make room for dancing. Chicks in full appeared to the birthday girl and with important faces went into the house, but the main thing that came in boys, among them Chris Grangy, the guy on whom she is pining. Jenna, in front of everyone, she started badmouthing her best friend, which made the company laugh. Lucy suggested to play a game called 7 Minutes in Paradise. She blindfolded Jang and took her to the closet. Whoever comes in next can do whatever he wants with her, and it will be Chris Grange. Lucy found out where the abstract was and encouraged the others to run out of here taking the goodies with them. Matt's out for a minute and doesn't know what's going on. Lucy's bitch lied to him that John was waiting for him in the closet. The boy obeyed and wanted to kiss his friend. Jenna thought Matt had done something that made everyone want to leave. The girl got upset and started repeating that she wished she was 30 years old. That's when she was showered with magic pollen from the cabin. The next day, Jenna woke up in the body of a 30-year-old woman, but she doesn't know it yet and calls her mom and dad. Seeing her reflection, Jenna couldn't stay on her feet, especially struck by her finally grown breasts. It's been 17 years and she knows nothing about her life. Jenna is convinced that this is her apartment and calls her parents, but they are on a cruise and can't help. Suddenly, some guy in the bathroom called her a sweet ass. Jenna armed herself with an umbrella and threw it at the stranger and ran outside. Some girl was waiting for her and asked Jen to get in the car, but her parents taught her not to get in the car with strangers. Turns out the lady's name is Lucy and she's her best friend. A squeaky tune came from somewhere, and her friend pulled out an unusual thing from her purse, which turned out to be a cell phone. The naked man spoke to her and called her sweet ass again. Jenna found out that she works as an editor for a glossy poise magazine and she has an important meeting right now. Jen is acting completely ridiculous, but everyone thinks she's just hungover from a wild night out. Richard, the boss, is unhappy that their competitor Sparkle has beaten them for the 10th month in a row, probably because they have a mole in the editorial office who is leaking all their ideas to the rival publication. Richard consults with Jenna on how to improve their magazine, but she excuses herself to go to the bathroom and pops into her office. There she saw a picture of that naked guy and found out she's friends with Madonna. A terrified secretary fears Jenna will fire her, just as she fired her predecessor yesterday. The woman completes her boss's assignment and finds out about Matt, her high school friend. With her job on the line, Jenna sets out to find someone who can help her figure things out. Matt has changed a lot and for some reason doesn't recognize her. After figuring out who is standing in front of him, the man finally opens the door. Jenna talks about what happened to her, how she fell asleep as a 13-year-old and woke up as a 30-year-old. Matt suspects that the guest is taking something heavy, and he can't tell her anything because he doesn't know anything from Jen. Matt hasn't seen her since high school. They're no longer friends. Jen has gotten unwell. Matt helped his former friend back home. It's time for Jen to find out that she somehow became the head girl of the 6 chicks group, and her friend Lucy is the same Lucy from high school. Jen was homecoming queen and dating Chris Grangy. You could say all her wishes have come true. In the evening, she will be picked up in a limo to take her to the banquet. She is living a life of luxury. Jen has also invited Matt to the banquet, who looks very sad. Jen has a lot of expensive cosmetics now, all that's left is to learn how to use them. The rich girl has lots of handbags of outfits and shoes and a whole bunch of interesting lingerie in her dressing room. Jen dressed up to her taste, that is, in the style of the 80s, and met in the elevator with a 13-year-old girl, Becky. Becky was surprised. The stuck-up lady had never even said hello to her before. In the evening, a limousine brought Jen to a lavish banquet where a bunch of people she didn't know were gathered. She hadn't learned how to behave in society yet, but she could afford to drink unlimited alcoholic cocktails. Sparkle, the editor of the magazine, shows up at the banquet and mocks the competition. Richard is confused. Everyone leaves the banquet, which was supposed to show that their magazine is still on the horse, smells of failure. A drunken 13-year-old decided to make things better. She asked for a Michael Jackson hit from the 80s, went out on the dance floor and started rocking out like she did when she was a kid in front of the mirror. Just as Matt came up, Jen pulled him onto the dance floor too, because he also knows how to move. This movement stirred up the audience, who also started dancing. The banquet was saved, but at one point Matt got embarrassed and left the party. Jen continues to enjoy her adult life, bathing half a store at a time. As she and Lucy sang cocktails at the bar, her friend announced that a certain guy was eyeing her. Jen thought he was cute, but she didn't go to the man at the bar, but to the boy sitting at the table and started flirting with him. Lucy took her friend outside so she wouldn't get arrested. There she saw that naked man again and only now recognized him as her boyfriend. Just then Matt comes up to Jen and introduces her to his fiancée Wendy, who will soon be moving in with her in another city. Everyone but Jen knows that her boyfriend is Alex Carlson, a famous hockey player, positive but dumb. Jen is afraid to stay with him one-on-one because he will start pestering her with all sorts of adult things. And so it happened, but all this causes Jen only laughter. Then Alex decided to ignite passion in the girl and began to dance a striptease for her. Jen panicked. She absolutely does not want to see his wiener. In the morning she complained to Becky about what fools all boys are. Jen arrived at work at the newsroom. The staff boss had given the staff a disappointing update on their readership numbers. They were losing cleanly to Sparkle. And they're just blatantly stealing their ideas. They're finished if they don't get more readers. The boss instructed Jen and Lucy to make changes to the magazine that would help increase circulation. The secretary gave Jen all the messages they'd left on her answering machine. It turned out that she was hated by a lot of people, and a man, the husband of one of the employees, wanted to get into her office. The guy burst in and immediately sucked Jen's lips. The creep, cheating on his wife with our heroine. Jen was outraged and kicked the guy in the balls. Then she found out that Lucy is scheming behind her back. She is going to prepare a project in secret from her friend. It turns out that her life is not so good, and she herself is a creep. The girl called an old friend for a walk and started a conversation about his fiancée. He definitely considers her his fiancée. For some reason he doesn't want to admit why they stopped communicating after school, but he did admit that it all started on her 13th birthday. When she came out of the closet, she threw the dream house he'd been making for her for 3 weeks at Met. Then Jenna stopped being friends with him and they never spoke again. And since then she's never had any real friends, which means she really doesn't have anything good in her life. Jen regrets the years that have passed her by. The girl returned to her parents' house and closed herself in the closet. There she cried. Mom and Dad came home. She was so happy to see them, and as an adult Jenna avoided communication with them. In the morning the girl asked her mom what she wanted to change in her life, but the woman has no such desire. Yes, she's made a lot of mistakes, but if she hadn't made them, she wouldn't have learned how to fix them. This has inspired Jen to go further. Her project to revamp the magazine will be based on the yearbook. She met Matt and told him that she was hiring him to be a photographer at Poise for a week. His pictures are not in the style of the magazine, but that's exactly what she needed. They actively work on the project, spend a lot of time together, and gradually get closer. The week flies by and Matt is in no hurry to return home. Jumping off the swing, the couple fell on the sand and Matt kissed his girlfriend. About this romantic moment, Jen told on Becca and her 13-year-old girlfriend. Matt hoped it was Jen coming up behind him, but it was just his fiancée. who was back in town a week early. He's not listening to her at all during lunch because he's thinking about someone else. Richard needs to familiarize himself with the projects urgently. Lucy's version turned out to be provocative and repulsive, in general a complete failure, but Jenna managed to prepare her project at the very last moment. Her idea is to replace fashion models with ordinary people and to emphasize happy moments from life, as if you were flipping through an album of old photos. Everyone liked the presentation and the project will be presented to the management. Richard wondered what kind of talented photographer took these pictures. The boss would like to see him on his staff. The girl went to Matt to make him happy. He had just come to Jen's office. Lucy shamelessly went through her things. She lied to the man that Jenny began to use his pictures and hired a famous photographer. Lucy suggested he sign transfer papers. Maybe his photos would suit someone else. Jen primped herself before meeting Matt, but she was discovered by his fiancée. The man went to get a tuxedo. They're getting married tomorrow. Jen prepares to present to the management team, but Richard walks in and informs her that the presentation is canceled. It's over. Lucy gave the material to Sparkle and was made editor-in-chief there. Meta's pictures are all over the place. He'd signed the papers yesterday, and Lucy had found letters from Sparkle's editorial office among her friends' things. Jen was the mole who was leaking ideas to a competitor. She was supposed to get the editor-in-chief position there. But now Lucy's taking over. Something Jen can still fix. She got into a cab driven by her high school sweetheart Chris Granger, and the man is nothing like that popular kid. But he still lived with his parents and remembered their first kiss in great detail. Jen rushes to Matt's house and sneaks into his room. The girl convinces her friend that she's not the monster she was, and if Matt realized that, Jen would be his fiancée. Matt admits that he loves her, but time can't be turned back. They each went their separate ways, and in his life he chose Wendy. Matt opened the closet and pulled out the wish house he had kept with him all this time. Jen asked Snova to give it to him and also confessed her love to Matt and forgave him. The distraught girl with the wish house sat on the porch. The wind blew and magic pollen swirled around Jen the moment she made her wish. Jen found herself in the body of a 13-year-old girl just as Matt was opening the closet and plopping him down. She kissed her friend on the lips. She knocked over a glass of lemonade on Lucy and ran outside. And now 17 years later, it's Jenna marrying Matt. Together they moved into their real dream house.